Benton County leaders are working on a new disaster action plan after a recovery team looked at the county's response during the Memorial Day tornadoes more than a year ago. 5 News reporter Lauren Spencer joins us now. And Lauren, you learned some things worked really well, but some adjustments will serve as a roadmap for future disasters.
Yeah, about 16 months later, much of that devastation has been rebuilt, but the county says that recovery also revealed things they could improve on. So they brought in a disaster recovery consultants who spent months interviewing people on the front lines to build a plan based on real experiences and lessons learned.
You just have to live through one of those events, I think, to understand what all is very important.
What was a devastating day in Benton County?
99% of the county goes back to their lives, and the 1% that is direly affected still has an incredible need for weeks or months or even years on end.
Has now become the blueprint for change. After an after-action review, the county developed a disaster recovery annex.
What this report is really designed to do is to give us a plan where we can kind of shorten that time span of the chaos and get back to order and rebuilding as quickly as possible.
A key strength consultants saw was the community stepping in before government resources could arrive.
Multiple sizes of shoes and clothing, underwear, socks.
There's so many people in this community that came forward and really just offered to help, not just for hours or days, but for weeks on end.
Public Safety Administrator Dusty Meredith says the annex will build on that momentum. They want to create a recovery coordination group made up of disaster relief stakeholders.
The partnerships that we've built with companies that will come in and supplement us through that process, the local relationships, the nonprofits, these organizations that are willing to help, and us just kind of knowing a better process to be able to implement those things quicker, be more organized.
And while the scars from last year are still visible, Judge Barry Mooring believes the community is better prepared because of it.
I think the community is paying more and more attention to the warnings. I think they're paying more attention to storm preparedness, and I think our community is better ready to weather a storm like this than ever before.
Judge Mooring says moving forward, they'll now look at the plan suggestions and prioritize what they want to put into place. Lauren Spencer, 5 News.
Thank you, Lauren. A Fort Smith man is facing child sex abuse charges after investigators say he inappropriately touched a teen claiming to be checking for STDs. An affidavit says the alleged 15-year-old victim told a school counselor that 63-year-old Alan Vickers inappropriately touched her in September. During an interview, the alleged victim stated that she reported to Vickers she had been sexually assaulted by a classmate. Court documents state Vickers told her that he needed to check for STDs and would do so every day for 4 weeks. Vickers was later interviewed by police and admitted to what the teen shared. He's pleaded not guilty and is still being held on a $100,000 bond. He's set to appear in court March 2nd. Tonight, Springdale City Council approves to raise the cost of ambulance services by 200%. It's the first rate increase in 11 years. While that percentage may seem scary, Fire Chief Blake Holt says most costs are covered by insurance or Medicare. They say rising operating costs have outpaced what the city can recover under state law. Well, a new law taking effect next summer will let cities recover more from insurance companies, and tonight's vote brings Springdale in line with that change.
The service goes beyond the transporting. It's having 24/7 staffing, having quality ambulances that are dependable and reliable, having durable medical equipment that's safe for our providers and for our patients, and those things cost money. We have 2 choices as a government entity, and that is to increase fees for service or ask to increase taxes.
Chief Holt added the raise means peace of mind for the community, ensuring reliable service and competitive pay. Well, new checks and balances could be coming into play in light of a budget shortfall the Fort Smith Board of Directors is dealing with. 5 News first told you last week the city is $2.5 million short on the expansion project for Parrot Island Water Park. At tonight's meeting, board members raised concerns over how quickly the board got to voting on $2.1 million regarding the project with no discussion. Christina Katsavis suggested the board have study sessions when a project not part of capital investments projects are brought forward. Board members tabled that discussion until November's meeting. Well, back in Northwest Arkansas, Rogers Public Schools unveiled a new technology center they say will support innovation in the school district. The new tech center off Easy Street will bring all of the district's tech operations under one roof. The superintendent says technology is too important in the school's daily activities to have its operations in an outdated facility.
It becomes not just a luxury anymore, but it's an essential part of everything that we do. So with that, this will make the technology department more effective, more efficient, and better able to serve the needs of our staff and students.
The center will support software trainings for teachers and staff. It will also allow the tech department to have a better place to set up and store the district's devices. Leaders in the lithium industry gathered in Little Rock today for the Arkansas Lithium Innovation Summit. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders was among today's speakers. With several lithium mines in the natural state on the verge of operation, Arkansas is expected to become a national leader in lithium production. Arkansas is expected to supply up to 19 million tons of lithium. The material is key for many cutting-edge technologies, powering everything from electric vehicles and smartphones to military equipment and energy storage systems. Well, health insurance costs keep climbing, and many Arkansans are wondering why. Arkansas Blue Cross Blue Shield CEO says a mix of rising medical costs, workforce challenges, and deferred care are driving those increases. Nationwide, 28% of Americans delay care due to cost. In Arkansas, 125 small employers dropped coverage last year. Healthcare spending is projected to jump from $5 to $8 trillion over the next decade. Rising pharmaceutical costs and high-cost claims among younger adults are adding to the strain.
That is, the health status of our youth in particular is not where we need it to be. And so when you think about young people in their 20s even becoming diagnosed with diabetes, with chronic health conditions, those are taking a toll on them.
Blue Cross Blue Shield says it's focusing on technology and value-based approaches to help manage costs while keeping Arkansans healthy. Renewal rates for next year are projected to rise around 8 to 9% for small and large groups. There are just 4 days left until major changes to Arkansas child care go into effect. On September 19th, the Arkansas Department of Education announced funding cuts for most of the state's child care providers. Cuts, they said, were coming from the federal level. But as Carter Thweet shows us, an emergency task force met today to try and save the situation.
This is doable, guys. This is a solution that can go into effect immediately.
And an immediate solution is what child care providers say they need. State Senator Jane English, part of an emergency task force as the state deals with the loss of funding.
Kind of a rough spot in the road where we don't have any federal money left. And so we're trying to figure out how we are able to provide services across the state for daycare.
English was one of several in the Arch Ford Education Building Tuesday to try and solve that problem. Shahid Sheikh runs Little Marston's Learning Center in Northwest Arkansas and says the proposed cuts would be devastating.
Over 40% of our businesses, providers closing their business. Thousands of families without child care, and an average per child increase of over $100 in tuition costs.
After a 2-hour work session, Sheik and others proposed percentage-based cuts, where centers that have been getting more money from the state due to their quality wouldn't lose quite so much. It wouldn't be a permanent solution.
This proposal is not one that takes us back to where we were. Every provider, every level is still taking a cut, right? It's not a clean win.
State officials in attendance took notes and pictures to consider these possible courses of action before November 1st, and there is some hope that a change will come.
Keep a lot of the providers from closing or from children from having to lose their spots.
We feel confident that the solutions that we've presented to the Department of Education can be implemented without the need of legislators or external factors.
That was Carter Thweet reporting. Department of Education officials released a statement today saying in part, today's recommendations will be given to the Arkansas Early Childhood Committee, who will decide if they can make any adjustments.